But yeah, my dream was to become a concert musician, actually.
Wow.
And that all changed when I found out that I had a genetic injury.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Grab Coffee. If you have a coffee nearby you, please feel free to join us for coffee. I invited a really special guest to me. And yeah, she has an amazing sentimental story that she wants to share with you all, and I'm so excited to hear about it. So we're just going to be listening to about her story as a Korean American adoptee to her being a board of directors, but in between, she was actually pursuing as a musician. So, if you're interested to find out why and where her vision changed, stay tuned. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast, Grace. It's really my absolute honor and privilege. My
Oh.
name is Liat. My Korean name is Cho Mi-yeon. I was born in Pyeongtaek, South Korea, but I was adopted when I was 6 months old and I grew up in the Boston area. I'm still in the Boston area, and honestly, I feel like I'm always going to be. So that's about that. I'm a Boston girl through and through.
Yeah, she's also from Boston. I mean, I'm not from Boston, but like I went to college in Boston.
Mm,
Boston is so pretty. Like it's amazing.
it really
Like
is. It's
lobster
gorgeous.
roll, pho basil, you know?
You know it, girl.
Yeah. What kind of coffee are you drinking?
I am drinking, I don't know what roast it is, I apologize, but it's Be Bright Coffee. It's a
Oh,
Asian American owned small business. Definitely recommend y'all check it out. They have their own roasting process. You can find them on
wow.
IG. This was not supposed to be a plug, but it's gonna be a plug. Go
Wow.
look them up. It's
That's so cool.
fantastic.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Can people buy it online? Like
Yeah.
order?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll
Okay.
send you all the
Ooh.
information once we finished.
That's awesome. Yes, please, please. But that's so cool. Yeah, I also have some coffee. This is just but what my parents bought it from Costco, the Dunkin' Donut,
Oh,
the original blend one.
mm,
So
let's go Dunkin' Donuts.
yeah, I love Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. How are you adapting throughout this whole pandemic by far? And what is it like now for you?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the pandemic, I actually went home. Well, let me back up a little bit.
Mm,
The pandemic hit senior year for me. I went on spring break and I never went back to campus.
mm,
And so for me, it started off trying to finish my degree and graduate.
mm,
And then over the summer, I did a lot of volunteering, and that eventually led me to teaching kindergarten to my neighbor. So I'm a kindergarten teacher now, and it's not the work that I was planning on doing. I really wasn't imagining spending 25 hours a week with a 5-year old, but it's
wow.
it's taught me a lot of patience, and it's worked out beautifully because I've also been able to work with different nonprofits in my spare time as well. So
Wow.
I would say it started off in a very unexpected manner, as I suppose any pandemic would for anybody, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
still continuing to have its surprises, but I think I've been able to step into a routine and
Wow.
really treasure the moments that have been given me. I mean, hopefully, I'll get out of this and work a real job.
Yeah.
But until then, we're doing well. We're doing well. We've been able to get over the not very content moments of the pandemic that I'm sure everybody has experienced, and
Mm-hmm.
we're on a roll right now. So
Wow. That's
yeah.
amazing. Wow. I mean, you volunteering for like nonprofits organization, how did that come about?
So it started off with me wanting to do something with my time.
Mm,
I had applied to so many jobs, and with the job market being trash, and then all of these people who have so much experience applying, it was very difficult to find a job. And so I
mm,
eventually just decided to send in a couple of applications here and there, but then also use the talents and the skills that I have in a way that can benefit others. And for me,
wow.
that just so happens to be the nonprofit world. So I ended up
Mm,
volunteering with a couple of nonprofits. I've stayed with a couple of them, and it's just been so amazing, all of the things that I've learned throughout that process, and just the impact that I know that my work has been having.
That's so amazing. Oh my God. You're like my girl crush right now. A little backstory about how Yacht and I met. Um, so me and my other friends hosted this 24 days of prayer. So it's like kind of like Secret Santa merged with 24 days of Christmas, but with prayer involved. And Yacht was actually one of the participants. And then we just got connected through Instagram and I started talking and I found out more about her background and I was like, wow, um, I need you on here and
Too
share
kind.
it with other people. Remember like before, this recording podcast, like we talked before and you shared a little bit about me, about your adoptee story. And if you would share a little bit more to the audiences, that'd be really great.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, I was born in South Korea.
Mm.
I moved to Boston when I was 6 months old, so I have no recollection of Korea from when I was a baby. I do have pictures from when I was a child, and
Mm.
um, not even a child, an infant, right? And there are pictures of me with my foster mother and
Mm.
my foster grandmother and my foster father. So I have those memories contained within pictures.
Yeah.
I'm also the eldest of five Korean adoptees, which I think is having
Wow.
that many adoptees in one family is a little bit rare. It's on the rare side.
Yeah, wow.
Mm,
That's a big family.
yeah, a pretty big family, and I'm the oldest. It comes with its blessings and challenges, right?
Mm.
Um, so for me, my personal relationship with adoption has been very positive. For my siblings, some of them haven't had very positive relationships with adoption, and so I would like
Mm.
to think that seeing my siblings and walking through a relationship with adoption myself has really
Mm.
given me a better understanding of the different sides of adoption. So I've seen pretty much the whole spectrum in terms of, being grateful and content with being adopted, and then having some very conflicting and very personal things to work through.
Yeah.
So it's really been all over the place for my family, I would say.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, though, we are very grateful for one
Mm.
another, and just as any family honestly would have, there are struggles and fights, but we also have one another's backs, and I think that that's one of the coolest things, just to have
Yeah.
grown up with siblings who look like me, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel as if so often adoptees in general are brought into and become members of families where they might be the only person of color, and that can be very difficult for them.
Mm.
And I've heard so many stories like that. But for my family, it was a little bit different because all of us looked like one another. We were all
Mm.
Korean. And so the racism that we experienced wasn't as bad as it
Mm.
could have been if we had experienced it alone. And so I think
Oh,
for me, that is something that I'm very grateful for.
yeah.
And I don't really know what else there is to say. I mean, that's the general, I guess, the general picture of um, my adoption story. But if there are any specific questions you might have, Grace, just feel free to ask me, because I'm pretty open about speaking about my experiences. And
Yeah. Throughout your journey by far,
mm,
how did you come about in experiencing with music?
yeah, absolutely. So I started learning the piano at age 3.
Mm.
My parents enrolled me in piano classes as part of the curriculum. I was homeschooled also, and so music was part of the curriculum when I was younger. So I started when I was age 3, and I've been playing piano ever since. I played viola for a couple of years, and I was like, I cannot
Oh,
play these
wow.
kinds of string instruments. It just does not work. It does not work for me. The bow and all of that stuff. And then I think around age 12, maybe a
Uh-huh.
little bit older, is when I picked up the harp. So music has
Oh.
always been a very large, a very important, very valuable part of my life. My father's side of the family are all musicians. My grandfather started the first Dixie band up at Dartmouth College. My
That's
uncle's a
so cool.
drummer. Yeah, my aunt is a fantastic jazz singer. My father plays trumpet. So we come from a very musical background. And I
Yeah.
would say that that really influenced me growing up as a child because my grandparents are always so supportive of
Mm.
whatever musical adventures I wanted to take part in. They were a little bit sad that I didn't play as much jazz as they would like. I was raised classical, so that was really my focus.
Jazz is
Um,
hard
I
to play.
mm, I cannot improvise, girl. Ask me to sit down and improvise, and I'm like, no, thank you. Not that I don't know musical theory, like I understand music theory, but just the concept of improvisation is just so beyond me.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, my dream was to become a concert musician, actually.
Wow.
And that all changed when I found out that I had a genetic injury. I have
Mm.
ulnar nerve entrapment, which I don't know if you want me to get into the details of that, but basically, there's
Mm.
a nerve that runs from your upper to your lower arm and it runs through your elbow, and it's supposed to be in a rut,
Uh-huh.
but mine are outside. And so, because of that, it messes up like the nerve system. And so I found that out when
Mm.
I was at Tanglewood University, Boston University's Tanglewood Institute.
Mm-hmm.
Tanglewood University, I don't know why I said that. BUTI, Boston University's Tanglewood Institute.
Mm-hmm.
I was there in the summer of 2014 and experienced a lot of pain. And that's when we found out that I had this genetic condition. And it would have required surgery.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, we decided it would be best if I didn't pursue surgery. And so while music wasn't completely sidelined, um, it was put off to the side and I focused on academia. Actually, I
Mm.
take that back. It was sidelined. There was one year where I couldn't play anything and I had
Mm.
to go back and completely retrain.
Mm.
I can remember the frustration of sitting at the piano and literally not being able to do anything but play a 5 note scale. And that
Mm.
was it. And then I was done for the whole day.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was very difficult to go through that retraining process, right? Because
Mm.
I was used to practicing
Yeah.
2 to 3 to 4 hours a day. But
Mm-hmm.
music is back in my life now somehow, so I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, like I saw your Insta story the other day and you were like recording yourself with the harp. How did that happen? What was the process like for you to continue on music till this day?
Hmm. So when I was at Brandeis University,
Mm.
I was there for the first 2.5 years of my undergraduate education. I played in a couple of chamber music groups just for fun. And then as school progressed and I got busier, I wasn't able to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I transferred to UMass, I my pronunciation today is so off.
It's okay. I'm like that like every day.
Once I transferred to UMass Amherst, I really wanted to get back into music. And I really wasn't sure how, but what I ended up doing was sending an email to the head of the piano department. And I basically said, I would like to participate in music. I don't have a degree or anything.
Mm.
Could I come play for you? And she said, yeah, absolutely. We always need people to play for us in chamber music groups. And so as it worked out, she put me into a trio and I was able to play with them. We played a John Hines piece of music
Mm-hmm.
for clarinet, saxophone, and piano. A very strange trio, but
Oh.
it was actually because the clarinetist wanted to apply for the International Clarinet Festival.
Oh.
And we actually were accepted,
Mm-hmm.
but because of COVID, it's been moved virtual. But we were accepted as probably one of the only undergraduate groups.
Mm.
So that was just super exciting for the
Wow.
clarinetist. It was exciting for me too, but as the pianist, there wasn't that level of excitement. You know what I'm saying? If it was for like
Yeah.
the International Piano Society or whatever, then it would
Uh-huh.
be more exciting. But the clarinetist that I worked with, we were very good friends, and so for her to be so excited about that was just amazing to be part of that
Yeah.
group, part of that process. It's a very wacky but really fun piece.
Yeah.
Definitely more on the jazz side, which I was a little bit hesitant about, but it worked out okay. And then
Yeah.
I continued with the clarinetist, and we were able to play some Brahms together.
Nice.
So that's really what got me back into music. Just a
Mm.
cold email to professor saying, I'd like to get back into music.
Wow.
Would you let me?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that professor passed away
Mm.
it was a very fast progressing disease. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
She passed away earlier this year, but just even thinking about the legacy that she left, because
Mm-hmm.
she believed in me. There were so many times when I tried to schedule meeting her over the summer and it just never worked,
Mm-hmm.
but she always responded with such grace and such patience and said, yeah, we'll
Wow.
reschedule. She probably rescheduled for me like 6 times.
Wow.
And so to have been part of her legacy is just, yeah, so very touching for
Yeah.
me as a musician, that
So
she
memorable
kind of like,
too.
yeah, just opened up the doors again for me to be involved. And then after the pandemic hit, I don't know, I just started being in contact with people who needed a harpist, or who wanted me to work with them as a pianist. And so I've been able to do we have a couple of different projects that are going to be released later on in the spring. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully those will be finished beautifully and we'll be able to see
Oh
a
my goodness,
see
yeah.
a fun
Harp
a fun
is
performance.
so angelic. It sounds so good. I can't wait to listen to it. Yeah, I'm so excited. You have to like send me the link and let me know
Oh, I will,
when
I
it's out.
will.
Yeah. Wow. I'm so inspired by your heart and your passion for music. Like even though like you found out about this genetic issue that you were going on, like it didn't stop you. You didn't let that limitation like really limit your abilities and what not to do, and you just kept going for it. I just give you full respect for that.
Oh.
Yeah, because I don't know, if that was me, then I feel like I would have a hard time and always ask like, why me,
Oh, there are
but
a lot of moments like that though. So many moments. I just didn't talk
mm.
about them here.
But all it matters is that you didn't give up, you know.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I think that I can see the hand of God working in that,
Mm.
because music was such an
Amen.
important thing to me, and then it was like, oh, okay, God's taking that away. Guess I gotta
Mm.
go do academia now. Woohoo! And then, slowly he was able to bring it back into my life, and
Mm-hmm.
in a way, in such a way that each time I was able to participate in a performance or participate with a group, it was extremely meaningful, not
Yeah.
only for me, but for the other musicians who were involved. And
Mm.
so I see it as a gift from God. There are definitely some days when I'm like, oh, I don't like studying. I wish I was just, practicing, but this is, where I am right now. So this is where we're gonna continue to be, just walk in the place that God has for me. And
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful that it includes music,
Yeah.
and being
Wow.
able to meet people like you, who are playing music for a living.
Yeah.
um, Definitely so inspiring to me, because I mean, there's, on the one hand, it's like, oh, I really can't do that, but then on the other hand, it's just so cool to see people pursuing that dream, and
Mm-hmm.
pursuing it so well. So respect
Yeah.
to you too, Grace.
Thank you. You're so nice. Oh. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I guess like the big question is like, as you're you know doing music, recording for, like collaborating with other people, how do you manage your work schedule with that and with your nonprofit organization that you're a board director of? Yeah, so if you could
uh,
explain to us what KKOOM is, that'd be great.
to answer your first question, I don't manage my time very well. The IG story you saw was me freaking out because I was like, oh shoot, I only have 2 days before this is due, and the dog's barking, and people are coming down the stairs.
Mm,
Um, but I would say for me, though, I know as a person, as an individual, I work very well under pressure.
mm,
I like the very cheesy saying that diamonds are created under pressure, because it's
oh,
true. I tend to do my schoolwork last minute. Um, I tend to answer like 30 emails all at once. And it's not the most healthy lifestyle. And so I really am working on getting into a routine. And there are certain parts of routine that I have down. But in terms of balancing it, I
mm,
generally just take it a week at a time. I'm just like, all right, what's on the schedule?
mm,
Let's see how close we can get to the due date without not doing it. So I would definitely say don't follow whatever I'm doing. I mean, it seems to work out for me,
Mm,
and I'm grateful for that. But I do need to find a better way of time management. That's definitely a weakness of mine, and I'm
yeah.
perfectly fine admitting that because it's true.
I'm on the same boat as you. It's so yeah, time management is like it's a skill, you know?
Mm,
It takes so much tries and practices to
yeah, yeah. I
really
do have
under
friends
yeah.
who keep me accountable, which I'm very grateful for.
That's good.
They're like, Leah, where's your calendar? I was like, I don't know. But yeah, to talk about KKOOM though. So KKOOM is the Korean Kids and Orphanage Outreach Mission. The acronym KKOOM spells out the Korean word dream, and it is a US based nonprofit that raises money for at risk children and youth growing up in the South Korean welfare system. So
Mm.
we are a virtual board based in the United States. We have people in Boston, Michigan, California, Atlanta, all over the place, honestly.
Mhm.
And we host events. Well, actually, we don't host events anymore. We used to host events in South Korea, but we help financially support educational programs and extracurricular programs as well. So we have a preschool and a college scholarship fund. And we also do things like host holiday parties or put on, for example, Baskin Robin parties for Children's Day,
Mhm.
fundraise for specific needs for the 3 different children's homes that we support. But our goal is ultimately to improve the lives and level the playing field, the educational playing field to be more exact,
Mm.
for children who are growing up in South Korean welfare system.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I I love that. I've always wanted to provide or like place a music therapy program at a refugee someday. That's like
Mm.
my dream. I just have the heart and serving like, kids. And I don't know, it's just like one of that dream where like I just want to that's like my ultimate goal, like, my
And it's gonna
wish.
happen. It's gonna happen, Grace. Whether
Mm.
or not it's tomorrow or 10 years from now, God has given you that heart, and so He's gonna bring it to you, or rather, He's gonna
Mm.
bring you to a situation where you are able to do that,
Wow.
right? And I'm
Yeah.
so excited. I'm so excited, and I'm so glad
Oh.
that I'll be able to see that happen sometime.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wait, that's so encouraging. Thank you so much for your kind words. Seriously. Like, what made you want to join a member
Mm.
as KOOM, and what was that process like?
Yeah, so I studied abroad in South Korea for 6 weeks in
Mhm.
2015. I was there, I lived with a Korean host family, so I was able to see a glimpse of what it might have been like if I wasn't adopted, if I had grown up in South Korea. And when I came back, I really wanted to help out with the children who were growing up in the community that I left.
Mm.
Right? Because I was born into the South Korean welfare system. According to my adoption papers, my birth mother gave birth to me at a house for single mothers.
Mm.
And it was kind of the idea, the 느낌, right? Whatever, that if a mother gave birth at that house, the child would be put up for adoption.
Mm.
And so I was very explicitly born into the welfare system,
Okay.
and then I was flown out of it. And
Mm.
so as an adult, I wanted to do something to help the children who were back, you know, living that life that I could have lived. And I
Mm.
didn't really know how to do that until I came back from studying abroad. I Googled something like Korean Orphanage US organization or something like that, and KKOOM came up. And I sent them an email. I said something along the lines of, do you have a pen pal program where I could write letters or something to the children that you support? Do you have capacity to let me volunteer? And at the time they didn't, and so they said, check back in with us at a later time. And so the next year I sent a follow-up email, and they said, well, you can fundraise. And I was like, oh, I can fundraise. Like, oh, okay. But at that point, I really wanted to do anything.
Mm.
And so I said, all right, I'll fundraise,
Mhm.
I guess. And so I fundraised for one of the programs that we have, which is called the Welcome Boost. And essentially, it's a $150 fundraiser, and all of the funds collected go toward purchasing new clothes or new accessories for children who have just entered the children's homes.
Mm.
So sometimes, actually oftentimes, what happens is the children's home receive, that's such a bad word, but they have children come to them, right? So as infants or as toddlers, and these are children who are coming from domestic abuse situations, or they were abandoned by their parents. And so when a child is received into the children's homes, at least with the children's homes that we work with, they receive new clothes, new accessories, they're welcomed into the family, and KKOOM is able to help meet those needs with their Welcome Boost program. And so that's what I initially started fundraising for KKOOM. I fundraised for a beautiful little boy who's now 3 or 4, and it's been such a privilege to watch him grow up. You know, just from the photos that I received. I actually wasn't a board of directors at that time, so I just saw them on Facebook. So the photos, and up until now, I was able to meet him when I went back to Korea in 2018.
Wow.
And so that process in and of itself has been very emotional for me, just being able to see how I was able to so directly help, you know, a little life, and seeing how well he's growing, because he's grown so well. Anyway, that's how I initially started working with KKOOM. I started off with fundraising, and then in 2018, when I was a junior, or right before my junior year, I received a scholarship from Brandeis, and that covered an internship I had with KKOOM. And so as a KKOOM intern, I was able to help plan and implement a 4-day English language immersion camp for 10 students in Seoul. So we took them from Gumi, South Korea, where their children's home was. We brought them to Seoul. We stayed in the Hongdae, Kunchul, and we were able to do things like go up to foreigners in Hongdae and ask them questions in English, like, what's your favorite color, right? Trying to give them access to opportunities that they otherwise would never have had. And all of these children had never been outside Gumi. They had never ridden a train, you know, to a different city. And they learned how to use the subway system. They learned how to, I made them order at restaurants. I don't think they really liked me when I did that, but I made them order at restaurants. We walked around one of the universities, and, you know, and they were able to use a map. So we did all sorts of fun things like that. And then after my internship ended, they very graciously offered me a position as one of the directors. And so I joined the board of directors my junior year of undergrad. And I've been with them ever since.
Yeah. Wow. That's so amazing. You're like a boss.
I wouldn't say that, but
I'm always like so in awe whenever you talk about KKOOM and like your heart of service. I'm like really being serious. Like I'm really in awe, and it's so insightful, super inspiring. I know like I'm repeating myself throughout this podcast to you, but like I'm like so serious. Like I am just so in awe that like I don't even know what to say. But, like,
girl, all I gotta say is that's gotta be God, because it's definitely not me.
true. Yeah, you know, that's Jesus right there.
It is.
So like what is like your overall goal and your vision for KKOOM and for your musical growth?
Mm, for KKOOM, I'm just one of the board of directors. There are, oh dear. I don't, you know, we talked about this and I completely forgot to check how many directors we have.
It's okay.
I'm one of several. We're actually an all-women board, which is so remarkable to me. Just that we're all able to serve together. We're all very good friends in real life. I'm going on about this like this because I don't remember how many people we have on our board. I'm not even going to bother trying to remember at this point, honestly. But I would say that collectively, you know, we want to continue fulfilling our mission, which is really twofold. First, to help the children over in South Korea, but then second, to be a voice for those children here in the United States. Because I think as is with any international-ish, I mean, we're US based, so we're technically not international, but the
Mm-hmm.
work that we do is international.
Right.
As with any international organization, and really any organization at all, we're trying to be voices for the people who don't have voices, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I think for me, one of the greatest joys that I've had working with KKOOM is through my fundraising, because that is typically what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my work as a director is fundraising, um, primarily through Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Asking people. Well, with the pandemic, I haven't been directly asking people, but just watching people pour out so much generosity to an organization, sometimes simply because I'm working at the organization, is absolutely incredible. And the fact that they're able to hear those children's stories, they're able to see their faces, they're able to connect the dots and feel as if they themselves are making a difference, and not only feel, but know that they themselves are making a difference,
Mm-hmm.
is what keeps me working with KKOOM, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to receive messages where people say things like, wow, Leah, I am so grateful you gave me the opportunity to donate. Or I'm so grateful that you gave me the opportunity to give this monetary gift. And Grace, those messages always make me tear up. I'm always crying whenever I have a fundraiser, because it's incredible to see how many people want to give
Mm-hmm.
and how much they want to love others.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes it's really, really hard to find a responsible way to do so,
Yeah.
right? And so for me, as a board of director, as a director, I hope to go back and work with the children in Korea someday when we're able to, when it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're stuck here in the United States.
Yeah.
So what better time than now, really, is it
Mm-hmm.
to utilize the influence that we have here in the States,
Mm-hmm.
to let people know about the
Mm-hmm.
children that we serve? And so I would
Right.
say that's really where my heart is,
Mm-hmm.
to let people know about the children and to invite them to join me on the journey of loving them, because
Wow.
I'm not the person who's donating hundreds of dollars.
Mm.
Those are my friends, right? Those are my aunt's boss from the 1990s.
Wow.
Those are one of my friends' acquaintances who she just happened to meet at a coffee shop. And all of those people I've been able to connect with. And I've been able to learn a little bit more about humanity, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more about myself, a little bit more about how the world works. And
Mm.
so for me, that is the greatest thing that ever could have come out of KKOOM. Like, yeah, we're
Mm.
working for the children, but we're also seeing the people who want to help the children, the people who want to love the children expand. And
Yeah.
I think that's really the heart of anybody, really, who works in an organization. That should be the heart of really anybody who walks this earth, right? That
Mm-hmm.
we receive so much love ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else that we can do but to pass it on.
Wow.
And then to tie that into music, I guess, I am really looking forward to working on the projects that I have right now. One of them is actually a collaborative effort. The composer is a Korean adoptee, and he
Mm.
wrote two sets of music. One is a
Mm-hmm.
piano suite, and then the other one is with some instrumentation.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all about his personal experience as an adoptee.
Mm.
And that's a very, very personal project to be working on. And I'm so grateful that he brought me in and he asked me to play as a pianist. Um, Very humbled and very grateful. But even through things like this, right, even through this music project, I've been given a chance to share a part of my heart, um, and share, the love that I've received from people as far back as my first piano teacher, right? And so
Mm.
for me, it's kind of just like channeling all of that love and that joy and those really difficult and hard moments as well,
Mm-hmm.
into music, because I truly believe that music is a language unlike no other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess in a very roundabout way, to answer your question,
Mm.
my goal as a human being is
Mm.
really to take the love that I've given and continue, I guess, passing it forward, um,
Mm.
and learning from
Beautiful.
other people too. So
Beautiful.
something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing in life, girl. I'm just trying to take it one day at a time,
I
man.
mean, it sounds beautiful to me, so I think you're good to go. Well, I really like the way how you talked about funding because I
Mm,
know that fundings to a nonprofit organization can be difficult to promote in its own way. But the
mm,
fact how you said, like, let's love on these children, come with me, support with me to love on these children. I feel like that's like a great way, like, it's like insightful way to like it's not only just like giving money, but like it's more like, hey, like through this support, like let's give love to these kids, like join with me,
mm,
like wow, and like just sharing that. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, I think that like changed my
mm.
perception of like donating. Honestly, yeah, which is something that like I've always had the heart to do, but like never, I guess, had enough desire or really that much. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to put it into words, but like, I definitely did not know much of what it means to
Mm,
like really donate other than just giving money. Um, but yeah, just learning that from you it just makes sense and really really brings like the desire to really like want to love on these kids through the support that we can do from afar.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally hear you on that. I think um, it's always difficult to give our money to something else other than ourselves.
Yeah.
I struggle with that too sometimes, but I think that, I mean, there are two sides of the coin. There's the whole like asking people for money, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's the whole um, giving money of yourself. And I think, to speak to the second point really quickly, in terms of personal donations and choosing where we decide to give our money, I really don't think it's a bad idea to be
Mm.
super careful about that, right? Because I mean,
Mm.
if you're looking at it from a biblical perspective, God's like, don't waste my money, because it's his money
Mm-hmm.
in the first place, right? And so I
Mm.
think for us to really think through, like, okay, where where will love abound with a financial gift or with financial support? I think that is so incredibly important for us to think about, when we're giving financially. But then also, just on the flip side, talking about, fundraising in general, my perspective is that you're not really asking people for money. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you really are asking people to fall in love with a cause or a mission that you've already fallen in love with. And you're asking them to like join you on the journey, right? And for some
Mm.
people that might be financial contribution. For other people, it might just be knowing about the situation, and raising awareness in their own way. But I think that so long as we're being, responsible with the money that we have, and we're giving from a place of love, I really don't think that we can go wrong. I mean, obviously, don't like wipe out your bank account to like,
Yeah.
to give to an organization, because that's not responsible. But balancing responsibility with love, I think is very important, especially
Yeah.
when you're looking at it from a donation or a donor's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Wow. Yeah, and then just like moving forward to like your goals, like I think it's that's like so awesome. Like just like as a human, just continuing to grow and like really doing what you really love to do,
Mm.
which is like serving people. And I really wish you the best of luck that you go to South Korea soon and, follow your passion and do what you love to do.
Oh, thanks, Grace. I hope I can get to South Korea too. I've been waiting for like 3 years now.
Wow. That's a long time.
It
But yeah,
is.
I feel like everything happens in the right timing,
Mm,
Um, and I
absolutely.
think you're doing great. Yeah, I think your time will come for that. And like what you told me, like it'll come to you, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
spitting those words right back in my face. I appreciate that.
I mean, we're here to help each other out, and
That is
support one
true.
another. Yeah,
Mm.
I really do admire and like really, really support you
Oh,
in whatever decision or path that you take. Seriously. Yeah, you're one of like the admirable people that I truly respect. So,
oh, thank you, Grace. And I can say the same for you. Just watching you pursue the music therapist route and just doing it with such a grateful and loving and humble heart is something that inspires me as well. So the inspiration goes both ways.
yeah.
It's mutual.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, like I think that's all that we wanted to cover
Mm.
with the audiences today. I just want to give you my sincere gratitude for utilizing your time and your energy and joining me in this podcast.
Of course, I am so excited to continue listening to your podcast. I still have to go back and listen to all the old episodes. I think I finished three, but my
Mm.
goal is to finish all of the rest of them soon. So,
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you so much for your support. But
of
yeah,
course.
we'll definitely catch up another time and
Mm.
soon. This may be our first, but it will not be our last. We'll love. I think our audiences will love to get to know you more. Especially when you go to South Korea and start your new chapter. We will love an update from you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, Grace.
Yeah, of course. All right, once again, thank you for joining us for Let's Grab Coffee. Make sure to leave down a review on Apple Podcast or comment down below what you guys think about this episode. Feel free to private message Let's Grab Coffee under dash pod on Instagram. If there's any topics that you want me to cover or that you guys are curious about, we can most certainly dive in more about that. But yeah, other than that, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.